By the way, somebody just needs to get on those guys who are just presenting and get them to figure out their sales tax problems and get them to stop using maybe. I think they got something. All right, so we're here to talk about a new product and a new market area that we're getting into. It's still in our core business, but it's the all startup. A little bit about Stuppy. We are 143 years old, probably the first time somebody has gotten up here that's that old. I don't remember it all, and very few people that work here remember even close to all of it. But we do have a lot of people that work for us for 40 years, 50 years. It is a family business. We started in St. Joe, Missouri. My great-great-grandfather started by growing flowers in St. Joe and then sold flowers around the Midwest, down into Texas and out east. And there's a whole story to tell you about logistics and supply chain in that and why we don't do that anymore. In 1971, we moved our headquarters here to North Kansas City. We already had a facility here, but my dad wasn't going to live in St. Joe anymore, so that's why we moved to Kansas City. We started manufacturing greenhouses in 1971, and so we do greenhouse manufacturing and construction across the United States for the commercial, educational markets. We do not do hobbyist or residential. We started doing greenhouse construction services because there was demand for that, project management. And then 2016, we're here to introduce our aquaponics system. So why are we here? Companies either do new things or they get old. We've been in business for 143 years. We're not an old company. There's some really good stories that we can't go into all of, but in those stories, there's team development, product development, innovation. We're here because hopefully a couple of questions come up that we haven't been asked, or at best our patience has tried and we get really good at answering the same questions. But it's new for us, so there's a lot of people that are going to ask us questions, and we want to know what you think about this. Why are we needed? Right now in horticulture and food, there's all these things going on. There's locally grown, there's organic, there's YouTube videos, there's people that want to grow their own food, there's people that want to buy stuff that's natural and sustainable. You get online and there's blogs and there's all sorts of stuff that can contradict itself, and so we're thinking there's all this stuff going on and it's affecting our greenhouse business. What can we do to make an impact in this space? And so that's why we chose aquaponics. We had customers that were doing it. They weren't getting very good service. There were educational schools that had Stuppy greenhouses that were putting it in. They were having some trouble. So we thought, okay, let's bring something to this market that works. What is aquaponics? It's pretty simple. You're taking growing fish, which is aquaculture, and you're combining it with growing plants without out of the ground, which is called hydroponics. So there you get aquaponics. How does it work? It's simple. It's science, right? It's pretty simple little concept, but it has to be done right. You feed the fish poop, the poop gets converted into a usable fertilizer by bacteria. The plants like fertilizer. They eat, they use that to grow, they use the water to grow. And so you get the plants and you get the fish. So it's like a little mini ecosystem. You get online, you'll read, there'll be people that say, oh, this is totally sustainable, but you still got to have inputs. The fish need to get their food from somewhere. You've got to have some energy inputs and things like that. So there's a few things. What are the benefits of it? Well, right here, you can grow fish and plants at the same time. So you can get some protein sources. You can get various different plants and greens. You're using a lot. It's much more water efficient because it's a closed loop system. You have to add water because the plants obviously use the water and you have some evaporation. but as opposed to field agriculture or even just regular greenhouse growing, that your water runs off, you've got a closed loop system, so more water efficient. You can get faster growth rates and yields if you run the system correctly. You can reduce the amount of chemicals you're putting in from a pesticide or herbicide standpoint, or you can even get to a place where you're not using any if you do it properly with the proper types of environmental control. The fish are obviously a good source of protein and a healthier source, and there's demand for that. Because it's recirculated, you're not having the wastewater runoff, so you've got more control and you're probably better environmentally. There are a large number of plants that can be grown. We're experimenting with that on our own. But there's a lot of different varieties of lettuces, greens, tomatoes, peppers, all sorts of things that if you can grow it in a field, you can probably grow it in a system. You know, it's probably not a good place to grow your corn and your soybeans, but it's going to be great for a lot of different foods. And there are a lot of freshwater fish species that work. In our warehouse, we've done catfish and tilapia, and we're working on some other types of food. So pretty cool. This is our system, and we started off, we geared it to the educational marketplace. And the primary reasons for that is because, one, we already had a presence in that. We do a lot of schools. We also wanted to make a system that we could control and learn from, and kind of make it a standalone where it didn't have a ton of options so that we could get it off onto a good start. Starts, we've got a fish tank, and the fish are in the fish tank, and the water flows from the fish tank to a media bed, which is filled with expanded clay in our system, but that's where most of your bacteria live that do that conversion of the different forms of nitrogen to make it usable for the plants. And plants grow in this. And then there's a raft bed where, if many people probably have seen places where they're growing lettuce or spinach or something on a floating raft, and the roots are right there in the water. And then the water comes down to a sump tank where it is collected, and then it's recirculated through the system. So it's a pretty simple system. One thing that ours is completely ready to install. There's all this plumbing that you can see under here. We have it all ready to go and glued. You don't have to be a plumber to put this together. You just have to be able to turn a wrench. What did I do? How do I go backwards? Make me go backwards.
Somebody else take control.
Did you fix it? All right. Thank you. Okay, so why is our system unique? One, there's a whole bunch of systems out there, but you don't know about them, and a lot of them are incomplete. You don't know what you're buying, stuff like that. So there's very few professional systems that are out there. Ours is very professional. It's complete. We've put it at a value price point. Right now it's $5,000. You get a lot for that. And we're going to make a little bit of money at it too. It's really engineered. We had real engineers develop this. We have all the flow rates calculated. We have a guy, he works for the Air Force, but he did a lot of the work, PhD, and we also used a PhD candidate out of the University of Arizona that developed a curriculum for us. So we've got real engineering behind it. We have that curriculum that we can provide to educators so that they have a starting point if they want to incorporate it into their biology or chemistry or other classes. It's easy enough that two 16-year-olds, and this really happened in our warehouse over the Christmas break, we had two high school juniors come in and put it together. So that was really a good test for our system. How are we going to sell it? That guy right over there, Abe, is selling it, and we do have an existing customer list, so we're kind of cheating as a startup, right? Because we already have all these customers, so we've got a lot of people to go out and contact that way. Jen's developed a lot on the website, and social media side of things. It's funneling leads to us. We've got some traditional marketing, like just sending out mailers to schools and other places. Doing some remarketing and some other search engine optimization online. So we've got a full-blown effort at marketing this. And we sold one so far and we're shipping it today. And our goal is to keep doubling up on that. I think that, we don't know exactly what the cap is on the market, but we're looking to continue to double and double and double over the next year, so that we're, ideally we'd like to be shipping 1 or 2 systems a week. And there's a big market out there, we think we can get it. What's our future? We're starting here with the educational use. This is out of Johnson County Community College. That was one of our pilot sites. That was version 2, and version 3 is what we're shipping. Primarily, we expect to go commercial. There has been talk, because this is pretty applicable to individual use, that there could be a home and hobbyist use for it. That's not been a market for us, so we're gonna need to. That's going to be a lot of cussing and discussing on that, on what we do, because we've primarily been business to business and business to education and what we've done. So, but those are 2. There's also probably a pretty good sized consumable and parts and piece market, aftermarket on this that we'll be part of. So there we are. Tried to be speedy. That's another picture of the system at Johnson County before it had plants in it. And also to give you an idea, we have 30 full-time people here in Kansas City that are working down at 12th and Clay. And I've got 3 other salespeople outside. I've got 9 people that were core to develop this. This is the kind of effort and energy we put into it. We're very serious about it. That's, 2/3 of the company is going at this thing. Not to mention the guys in production that assemble the stuff or things like that. But we've got a real team and we're going at it real hard. So how about some questions? Right here.